Welcome to the Legacy Leaders Podcast. Are you doing the best for your client to help them create their legacy? Are you creating a plan that goes far beyond finances to help people ensure that it becomes the driving force behind all decisions? On this podcast, hosts Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller will help you with growing your practice and your client's peace of mind. Together, they bring the best and brightest minds to share with you how to help your clients develop their best legacy. And now, here are your hosts, Katie Beth and Stan.
Welcome back to the Legacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Katie Beth Hand and Oliver Cushing. Our guest today is a financial advisor looking to help individuals and families improve their financial literacy in underserved communities. He wants to help clients understand and pursue their financial goals, and he wants to impact the sports industry by helping athletes plan for their life after sports. Jazz Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, we are really excited to have you here. And I wanted to jump in with this question first, because you have a really unique backstory. So tell our audience a little bit about your experience with sports and how that path really led you to eventually become a financial advisor.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I get asked that question quite a bit. So I started out playing football, and it was a big transaction from football into the finance industry. Man, as a kid growing up, I thought I would always play football for the rest of my life. And then some unfortunate things happened. I tore my ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus all in one hit. And those dreams of continue to play football were shattered. So I was thinking like, hey, what's next? What do I got to do next? And that's what made me transition into the finance industry. It was a big transaction, but it was something that I'm glad that I did. It's been very, very rewarding.
How does your experience and some of the things that you learned being in the sports world, how did that kind of prepare you for the work that you do now?
I mean, it's very similar. You have to practice. You have to be prepared for anything that happens. You got to be very, very, very disciplined in this industry because you're dealing with a lot of people's money and anything could happen. So I think that part of the football industry was able to transfer over to what I'm doing now because, man, it's very tough, very disciplined, but at the end of the day, it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. What made you work for people? What made you want to work with them in particular?
It's weird because an advisor reached out to me. He was a senior advisor. I started out working at Stevens, then I transitioned to Cruz. And he used to see my post on LinkedIn. He was just seeing me around and he's just like, hey, man, I would love for you to come work with me. So he's a senior advisor with Stiefel. And I actually never heard of Stiefel until this day. And so he reached out to me and was like, hey, you're someone I would like to add to my team. And I was like, man, all right, I'm open to hearing what you have to say. So we met a few times. He took me out to dinner, took me out to lunch, brought my family in, then took me to St. Louis where the home office is located. And man, those guys at the home office, they really made me feel special, made me feel welcome. They had the platform for the advisors to be able to be free to do whatever they want, build the book however they see fit. And that was the biggest thing with me, not really having a micromanager, you being able to be flexible and be able to manage to help the clients that you want to help.
I would imagine that's another thing you learned from football too, being self-disciplined, but also being able to be part of a team and function as part of a team. So a lot of, probably more than people realize, a lot of skills and talents you picked up with football probably relate into the work that you do now. So I think that is very cool.
A lot of people don't realize it, but like I said, it's very similar. You do a lot of beating on your body playing sports. Here you do a lot of beating on your brain. So it's very similar. You got to be very disciplined in both aspects, both career paths.
Absolutely. And when you're in football, you got to study the playbook. You got to know what plays to run. You got to look at the whole situation and know what's the best play to run. And that's kind of the same with, financial planning and everything. You got to look at every situation and wonder what play we want to run here.
Exactly, man. No client is the same. So every situation you got to be prepared. You got to do a lot of studying. You got to do a lot of preparing. And like you said, it's just like a playbook. You got to study it. You got to study this and figure out the right play.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about, you've mentioned, and it's in your bio, you have a very unique passion for serving underserved communities. So tell us about that. What does that look like for you?
That is very big for me because My background, I come from a very, very, I wouldn't necessarily say poor, but very less fortunate family. I grew up with just my mom, and she took care of us. But my mom, she had me when she was 17 years old. So she wasn't able to learn about financial literacy. She wasn't able to go to college. She had to work immediately as soon as she graduated high school. And of course, that's always tough when you have a son. And so seeing the way she struggled on the daily, and then growing up in my childhood, seeing how my community struggled, that was one reason why I picked to be an advisor, because I was like, man, I want to be able to help those people, help the underserved communities, and be able to teach them. It's not necessarily about helping them gain more money. It's about teaching them financial literacy, teaching them how to sustain the money that they do have, plan to live, have a better future, plan to be able to retire, because, man, they don't think about retiring. Retiring is something that they never crossed their mind. They just want to work every day until they die. And, man, I just wanted to teach them that that's not how life is. You can retire, you can live a good life.
And that's great because, knowledge really is power. And the more people that are aware that these sorts of resources are out there, the more they're able to, pull themselves up and be able to do something with what they have.
Exactly. It gives them something to look forward to. I mean, you see people I seen it, that people just wake up every morning. It's just a constant routine. Go to work, come home, go to sleep, go to work, go home, go to sleep until they die. They don't think about, I never took a vacation. They don't think about taking vacations. They don't think about going to college. If I didn't get a football scholarship, I wouldn't have went to college. My mom wasn't able to pay for me to go to college. So just being able to send your kid to college, go on vacation, buy a car for your kid instead of having to go buy a used car that's probably break down in the next 2 years. Just things like that, being able to teach them that we are able to do those type of things.
And not only that, but the fact that you can say that you've come from a situation that you've learned a lot from, that really you're able to put yourself in some people's shoes and say, this is not something, I don't come from a background where this is talked about all the time. Like I had to learn this myself. And so I'm a pretty good person to be able to tell you I learned this and I can teach you in a way that you're going to be able to understand because I had to start from the ground and build up.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing is when they see me come into their house or they meet with me, they say, hey, he looks just like me. And I tell them I look like you and I experienced everything that you're going through. So trust me, it can be done.
I know that's something really unique. And Oliver and I deal with that kind of coming from the law firm side. Attorneys tend to make people very nervous.
Yeah.
And I feel like financial advisors always tend to make people very nervous if they've
Exactly.
not met or worked with a financial advisor before or an attorney before, because I think all of us have that fear of we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to look dumb, especially when working with a financial advisor. We have that fear that we'll show up to talk to a financial advisor and he'll be like, well, you don't have enough money to even need me. You don't have a reason to even be here. And so talk to us a little bit about how you kind of educate and encourage people and, the people that become your clients. How do you kind of educate and what's your focus on that? And how do you encourage them to really get started planning and working with a financial advisor?
Yes, ma'am. So before I get to that question, I want to tell you guys a funny story now that you brought that up.
Okay.
When the football players are going through transitioning from college to the pros, we go through the Senior Bowl, the Combine, the Pro Days, and different things like that. So you have financial advisors that come reach out to you. You have agents, you have attorneys, you have public speakers that come out and help you with all those different things. And never once did I see a black guy come towards me and say, hey, let me help you. So when I was thinking about those days, when I was thinking about my next position, and I was like, man, I would love to be able to be one of those guys that go in and talk to the guys who are transitioning from college to the NFL and be able to tell them like, hey, I know exactly what you're going through. I come from the same background as you, and I know exactly what you're about to go through because you're about to be given all this money. You come from no money. Now you're going to be put in a big city. Think about putting in Vegas or Los Angeles with all this money, and there are so many distractions. So you need someone there to tell you, like, hey, calm down. You can have fun. You can live in your rewards that you earn, but man, you got to be smart about it. So that was one reason that really made me focus in on being there because I want to be able to help those guys. But back to the question, whenever I go into like a household and see someone and they ask me like, hey, let's talk about it. And I'm just like, man, everything that I'm going to tell you or talk to you about is going to benefit you. There's no need for you to be scared. I'm not here to shame you for asking stupid. There's no stupid questions. I'm not here to shame you because you don't have the amount of money that you think you should have. Man, if you have $5 to start saving with, it's a great time to reach out to a financial advisor because especially someone like me, I'm not here just to make money. I'm here to help people. I want people to feel comfortable talking to me. I want people to feel comfortable being able to come to me about any problem that they have. I don't necessarily want to talk to them about their finances all the time. I want to learn about their family, their kids, their parents, their cousins. I want to be a part of all of this. So I don't want to be the person that they're scared to talk to because when you see an attorney come to you or a financial advisor, the first thing you do is you get nervous and you're like, man, is he going to think I'm stupid? Or will I ask a stupid question? Do I have enough money to even be talking to this guy? And I just want people to understand that you come across someone like me, an advisor like me, you're not going to feel that way.
And you can see that in your demeanor. You're very good at putting people at ease and at having casual conversation. And it really does make a huge difference finding an advisor that you're comfortable with, because you are much more likely to actually ask the questions that you have and follow the advice that you're given, because it really is a place of trust. And so I can see that, especially with the groups that you're working with, having the background that you have, that allows for such a unique connection with these people to be able to build that trust. And I think that's really cool. Very unique.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You had kind of touched on this a little bit. Sorry, Oliver. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you have an ideal client that you work with, or are you kind of open to anything?
I'm really open to anything, but if I had to pick a certain choice, I mean, it'll be, the less fortunate. I like to really dive in and pick clients based off someone who's really serious about building a legacy, something that lasts. I don't want to just dive in and talk to people who have money. I don't want to. Of course, I'll help the people that have money because everyone needs help, but I want to help the people that don't have the money or the people that necessarily have the money but don't know what to do with it. So I want to be able to teach them, and through the whole process, like I said, it's a mindset, teaching them about the mindset of being wealth planning, and that's something real big for me.
Go ahead, Oliver. I stole your question time.
Oh, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. I was going to follow and say, there's three people you should really be honest with. Four, really. Your spouse, your doctor, your lawyer, and your financial advisor. Those are the four people you need to have complete honesty with if you want to have all your affairs in order.
Yes, sir.
And
that's exactly
my
right.
question is there, could you give like a specific time or an instance where you're able to really help a client, maybe get started, or someone came to you midstream and you're able to, help direct them in a place that really helped them out?
Man, it happens quite a bit actually, especially the clients that I communicate with quite often. Man, these guys really have no idea where to even start, what's going on, what's next. So just being able to tell a client like, man, just start somewhere. It's never too late to start and it's never too early to start. You just need to start somewhere, start and be consistent. Like I said, it's often, very weekly, different situations where someone will reach out and say, hey, Jazz, man, my kid graduates in 4 years. I want to be able to get them a car. I have the college situation taken care of, but I want to be able to save to get a car. And just putting a plan together for that, being able to get them a car once they graduate, or even some where they're not going to college or don't have a college fund already set up, and you take them through different tools that will be able to help them save money for college. Man, it's quite a bit. And like I said, like I told you earlier, man, it's very rewarding too.
I love that. Talk to us about, you've been working with clients for a while now. So for anybody who might be listening that does not have a financial advisor, maybe they've been too intimidated to work with a financial advisor, they've not gotten started. If you could give one piece of advice to our listeners, what would that be?
And my biggest advice, I always tell everybody, is 3 things. Start early, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to ask questions. especially me, because I've probably been through whatever they're going through. So don't be afraid to ask me a question. Don't be afraid to bring any situation to my attention, because if I can figure it out, I promise you I can find someone who can figure it out and we can get a plan together for them. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to start. Starting early is the main thing. You start early, staying consistent with it, and just don't be afraid to ask questions.
I feel like those could be 3 more lessons that you learned from the football world.
Exactly.
Starting to sound pretty familiar, Jazz.
And also, this is another thing that I like to tell people, because now social media is very big. You know, everybody's on social media, on TikTok, Instagram. Block out the noise. You get on these social media apps and you're thinking like, oh man, my friends in Hawaii, my friends in Japan. Well, hey, it makes you think that you're not doing what you need to be doing. But if you just stay consistent, stay focused on the things that you need to be focused on, once you retire, you'll be able to go on those trips. Or once you save a little bit more money, you'll be able to go on those trips. Especially, you come talk to me, I'll help you save to be able to go on one of those trips. You never know what other people are going through, what they did to go through those trips. Maybe they have an advisor that's helping them do those things. So just block out the noise. Ask your advisor multiple questions. Tell them your plans. Tell them the things that you want to accomplish. And I promise you, I will be able to help you get to those things.
That's great advice. Yes, I saw a quote once that has always stuck with me about social media, and it said, stop comparing your day to day with everybody else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
And so I try to remember that, and it is hard. And I would imagine, especially for some of these young athletes that they're in this whole new era and possibilities just seem kind of endless. And you always think you'll be young and make that much money forever, right? And so I would imagine that's something in particular that group struggles with, kind of being young and getting these contracts and having these opportunities and seeing all of these other people able to go on trips or buy fancy cars or whatever it is they may be able to do. So what type of advice do you give to some of these young athletes kind of making that transition maybe into the pros or getting some of these contracts? Do you have any special advice that you give to them?
Yes, I do. I tell them that this is your first contract. With this first contract, you need to be planning, use this money, use this, everything that you're getting now to earn that second contract. You've earned the first contract by doing the things that you did for your whole life, the past 22 years of your life. Now you got 3 years to earn the second contract. So be smart. Once you earn the second contract, then you can go live a little bit more. But right now, you need to be smart. Invest in yourself. This is the part where you invest in yourself. You do things that get your body 100%. You do things to get your mind 100%. And just focus on getting to that second contract. Once you get that second contract, usually you're pretty good. You're pretty set off. But once you get to that second contract, you also got to remember that you can't go broke. I don't want to call their names out on the podcast, but I bring a lot of example of guys that made a lot of money that went broke. So I bring those names up as examples and tell them like, hey, you don't want to be this guy. You don't want to be this guy. So be smart and use this first contract to invest in yourself. The second contract, you'll be able to live a little.
Yeah, I know that the statistics, even on some of these big pro athletes that blow through these, millions and $1 million contracts, the statistics on that is shocking. I learned about that several years ago. And so I know those guys wish that they could go back in time and get this advice back in their, late teens, early 20s, instead of being 30 and can't play anymore and they've spent millions on stuff that no longer has value. So I love that you're really working with this group in particular to kind of help start them on the right track from the very beginning. Very cool.
Yeah. It's sad the multiple stories that you see and hear about that. It's very sad.
Yeah. And much more common than I think most people realize. If they really don't pay attention to these different professional athletes, it happens a lot. And so it's heartbreaking to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So last question that I have for you, and this is your deep thought question. So
yes, ma'am.
Through the work that you do, and I know that you're a family man, and then you work with this incredible community of people, with young athletes, with the underserved community. So talk to us about, through the work that you do, what is it that you hope your legacy will be?
I want my legacy to be that Jazz was a person who was able to help people that were overlooked. I also want to be known as a person that broke the barriers, because if you haven't noticed, not too many people in the finance industry looks like me. So I want to be someone that broke the barrier and encourage other guys, similar background as me, to become advisors, because our community is very overlooked. And I just want to be the trailblazer for that person. I want to be remembered as, hey, Jazz encouraged me to do this. Jazz encouraged me to do that. And now we're able to serve this community.
That is a great legacy to leave. Oliver, did you have any other questions for Jazz?
I'm just blown away. I've loved this whole thing. I love, everything you're doing and your mission statement and the legacy you want to leave. It's all very impressive, and I fully support you on all that.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, for everybody listening, we want to thank you for listening to the Legacy Leaders podcast with your host, Katie Beth Hand and Oliver Cushing. And our guest today was Jazz Scott. And to connect with Jazz, you can find him on LinkedIn, and you can also find him at stifel.com and type in FA Jazz Scott. And we will link both of those for you in the show notes so that he is easy to find and connect with. So Jazz, thank you again. This has been an absolute pleasure. We really love the work that you do and the mission that you have to serve people that really need the work that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to the Legacy Leaders podcast with Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller. For more information on them and the show, please visit pinnaclelegacylaw.com. If you like what you've learned today, do share the program with your friends and subscribe wherever podcasts are found.